Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, definitely unique.
We're diving into this really intense piece of source material. It's presented as satirical song lyrics called Alienpocolypse, Woke World Nightmare Gore.
Quite a title.
It projects this, well, incredibly grotesque sci-fi horror thing onto, our modern social and political landscape.
But the real kicker, the thing we really need to focus on, isn't just the lyrics themselves, graphic as they are.
Right. It's the author's note that comes with it. It's short, but it changes everything.
Absolutely crucial. And look, before we dive in, let's be crystal clear for you listening. This material is, it's explicit, it's designed to be offensive, and it's absolutely packed with extreme socio-political grievances.
Definitely.
Our job here today, our mission, is not to get tangled up in the politics or the viewpoints themselves. We're treating this purely as a rhetorical object.
Okay, so analytical.
Purely analytical. We want to identify the targets of the critique, understand the sort of narrative structure, how it works rhetorically, and, this is the most important part, analyze the stated intent behind why it was even created. That author's note is key.
So we're looking at the mechanics, really. How this piece was built to comment on culture, even if the commentary is, well, extreme. It sets up a world, introduces a threat, and then does something really surprising with who the heroes end up being.
It's a fascinating construction, yeah. A kind of self-aware rhetorical weapon, almost.
Okay, so let's start with the foundation. The author's worldview, seen through who they're attacking, right? The targets.
Exactly. And it kicks off immediately with culture creators, Hollywood, big entertainment franchises. The claim is they've failed somehow.
Failed how, specifically?
The source says they missed a golden vein. The implication seems to be they ditched traditional, maybe more profitable themes.
And instead,
turned heroes gay and lame. That's the quote. So it's not just a vague complaint. It's specifically lamenting a perceived loss of traditional masculinity and adventure archetypes.
And they name names, or at least characters. Makes it very concrete.
Very. Stuff like Superman's a whimpering twink, Star Wars a glitter show, even Indiana Jones saying his whips for kink, not treasures down below.
Wow. Okay, so the message is pretty clear. Cultural icons have become weak or feminized or marginalized in the author's view.
Precisely. And what's interesting rhetorically is how fast it broadens out from just movies.
Right. It doesn't stay on Hollywood for long.
No. Having sort of set up this failure in entertainment, the source then paints this picture of the whole earth gone full depraved. It explicitly labels it the woke world, the scene of the nightmare gore.
That shift feels important. It moves from complaining about movies to defining an entire enemy society.
Exactly. The author builds this world by basically lumping together everything they see as wrong. Identity groups get listed specifically. Trans and lesbian queens, gay lords in their enclave.
Okay.
Then it brings in religious conflict, mentioning embracing the Muslims' twisted calls. And then it just throws in the most taboo and shocking things imaginable to maximize the effect.
Like what?
Things like pedos in the streets and necrophiles with cold, stiff dolls.
Okay, so that's a strategy, right? Grouping very different things, identity politics, cultural anxieties, and truly extreme criminal deviancy all under one umbrella.
It seems designed to paint a picture of maximum chaos and moral decay in this woke world. Maximize the perceived threat from within.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? The bridge brings in ideologies.
Right. It makes sure to include the sort of political and maybe academic structures perceived to enable all this. It names feminism's sharpest blade, Marxist chants, and this general idea of the identity parade.
So by the end of that setup, the author's basically drawn a circle around a very specific set of targets, bundled them all together, and said, this is the enemy environment. This is what's ripe for destruction.
You got it. The stage is fully set. A world defined entirely by things the author clearly despises.
Okay, let's unpack the next step then. The setup's done. We know the enemy. Now comes the external threat, the aliens. We shift from the critique to the actual literal gore.
Yeah, and verse 2 really dials up the description of this woke earth before the aliens even hit. It's intentionally, hypersexualized and grotesque.
How so?
It talks about every flavor of the freak, from bum to bone to beast, basically engaging in nonstop public degeneracy. Uses really offensive, vivid images like orgy halls where cum spray's free, and even rubber-clad bum burglars.
Okay, subtle it is not. It's pure shock value,
No.
seemingly to kind of justify the violence that's coming.
It definitely sets a baseline of chaos that the alien invasion then responds to. And that response Yeah, it's equally, if not more, disgusting.
How are the aliens in the attack described?
It's extreme, very visceral horror. The aliens themselves are just called freaky, dark, and ugly. Not much detail there. But their methods are biological, super graphic.
Give us an example from the lyrics.
Things like Black Goo Bukake Fest, which is intentionally provocative language, physical attacks like tails skewer them like kebabs. The violence feels very pointed. It directly mirrors or targets the nature of the society being critiqued.
And it specifically mentions the groups targeted earlier.
Yes, it makes sure the carnage connects back. There's a line about the aliens turning pride parades to slime. And the killing mechanics are described in terms of, like, internal violation and destruction.
Oh, so.
It mentions inner gnashers extend and reap, coring holes in their fabs, and aliens that slide inside explode in guts and gore.
Yeah.
It really feels like the author letting loose their disgust in the most violent way imaginable.
Okay, this seems like the logical endpoint. Despised world, horrible aliens, wipe it out. End of story.
But, see, this is where we have to pause. Because if the author just hated these groups and wanted them gone, yeah, the aliens winning would be the simple conclusion. The author could just, cheer them on.
But that's not what happens.
Not at all. And this is where it gets, as you said, really interesting. The core rhetorical move, the big twist, happens right in the chorus.
Wait, so if the whole point was setting up this world as irredeemably awful, why wouldn't the author just let the aliens win? Why give the quote-unquote perverts a chance? Or even root for them?
That is the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the key rhetorical move. Despite all the bile, all the disgust, aimed squarely at the degenerates and perverts populating this world. The chorus just flicks it completely.
Ships it how?
It creates this kind of cynical solidarity. Suddenly, the narrator, the author's perspective, seems to align with the very people being graphically slaughtered.
How is that shown in the lyrics?
It literally says they would root for the degenerates, the last hope of our kin, and then, even more directly, survival of the perverts, on them we depend.
Wow. Okay. That forces a really uncomfortable position then.
That's the rhetorical genius, or maybe the horror of it. By making the external threat, the alien invasion, somehow even more terrifying or disgusting than the internal societal threats, the so-called perverts.
It creates a hierarchy of evil.
Exactly. A hierarchy of evils. The internal enemies, the ones you were just encouraged to despise, suddenly become the last hope simply because the alternative is worse, or perhaps just more alien.
So the goal isn't necessarily the physical destruction of the woke world, after all. It's more like forcing the audience into acknowledging a shared enemy, or at least a shared survival need, with people they were just told are disgusting.
Precisely. It kind of elevates these outcasts into this necessary, if deeply uncomfortable, position. You're forced, rhetorically, to choose the familiar depravity over the completely unknown biological horror of the aliens.
It's like survival trumps ideology at the last second.
It creates this immediate, almost primal, moral imperative based purely on physical survival. And that imperative just overrides all the political and social judgments laid out before.
Okay, so the lyrics themselves build this complex, paradoxical scenario, but you said the real key is the author's note.
Yes, analyzing just the lyrics gets us this far, but it's the author's note that unlocks the why. It tells us how this whole structure is supposed to function.
Right. This is the aha moment for you, the listener, because the note shifts it away from just being, I don't know, shock art or dark satire.
It does. What's really fascinating is how the author just completely rejects the usual role of an artist or entertainer.
How so?
The note says, plain as day, this whole project was never about entertainment. That single sentence changes how we have to look at it. It strips away the defense of, oh, it's just horror or it's just art.
Okay, not entertainment. So what was the stated goal then?
It's chillingly specific, actually. The primary goal, it says, was about infecting culture to influence children.
Infecting culture. That phrase really jumps out.
It's crucial. If the goal is infection, then the actual content, all the graphic details, the specific list of enemies, the gore, it becomes almost secondary to the delivery. The shock itself is the delivery mechanism, the vector for the infection.
And the note even addresses why it's so repulsive, right?
Yes. It explains the lyrics were intentionally designed to be as despicable as possible.
Deliberately despicable. Why?
To serve, and this is another quote, as a provocative reflection of that evil. So the text isn't just expressing the author's view of evil, it's framing itself as a tool, a kind of mirror maybe, a weapon designed to provoke a reaction by reflecting what the author sees as cultural evil back onto the culture, particularly aimed at influencing the next generation.
This raises a huge question then. When content creators openly state their goal isn't art or debate, but cultural intervention, infection, using provocation, how do we even analyze that?
It means the content itself, like the specific list, lumping together trans people, Marxists, and pedophiles. That list is less important for its accuracy or fairness, and more important for its strategic value in maximizing offense and provocation.
The purpose stated by the author infection influence becomes the primary lens for analysis.
Exactly. It's like the author handed us the instruction manual for their own rhetorical weapon. We have to analyze it not just based on what it says, but on how the author explicitly intends it to work in the world.
It's self-aware propaganda, basically, designed for a specific cultural effect. So the structure we unpacked, critique, gore, paradox, isn't just a story. It's a system built to achieve that stated goal of infection.
Precisely. The intentionality is everything here.
So wrapping this up, what we've looked at is a source that starts by defining its world through very specific complaints, lost heroes, certain social groups taking over. Then it uses extreme graphic violence for maximum shock.
Maximum shock.
And then deploys this really weird rhetorical twist where the despised perverts actually become the necessary saviors.
The uncomfortable heroes.
But the crucial layer, the thing that defines the whole piece, comes from the author's note. Its stated function isn't entertainment. It's not even just critique. It's declared to be a tool for deliberate cultural infection, aimed specifically at influencing children by being despicable.
We essentially analyze the blueprints of a rhetorical weapon.
Yeah. So final thought then, what's the takeaway here?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about what it means when cultural products, regardless of their viewpoint, openly state their mission is not communication or art, but infecting culture,
Right.
especially using means described as despicable.
Right.
How does that declared intent change how we must engage with and analyze cultural artifacts? It forces us, I think, to look beyond simple content analysis or judging artistic merit, and instead focus much more intensely on the stated method of delivery and the potential long-term cultural fallout the creator is aiming for. The intent becomes the central analytical fact.